Hello Flosstube, my name is Laura and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you like what you see and maybe hit like, subscribe. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me and talk cross stitch. So thank you. Before I get going showing all of my projects for the week, I do want to tell you that yesterday I put out a Flosstube Extra, a very small video, really small, only about 5 or 6 minutes, and that gives you the information for the summer 2025 artist trading card swap. So it'll give you the theme, the shipping dates and details, and all of that fun stuff. So if you'd like to participate, and this was my backdrop from yesterday's video, and I decided just to keep it since we are kicking off another round of the trading card swap. These are just some that I have received over the last few years from people, and I love looking at my trading cards. So I thought it'd be fun to have those there. But if you'd like to participate, we would love to have you. If you've never done it before, that's okay. Jump in if you'd like to give it a try. And if this summer just doesn't work for you, that's all right. We will have another one in the autumn. So there's plenty of time yet this year for you to participate if you can't go on this round. Alrighty, so let me get going on my projects. I have 13 projects to work on to show you this week. I have 2 finishes, and I have only 1 start, yay! But I do have more starts planned. So I figure I better not get used to it. And 2 finishes in a week is really more than I would normally have anyway. So let's get going. This very first piece I worked on, I was very lucky to be able to stitch in person with some stitchy friends last week, and I did this one. I worked on Blue Rhapsody from Rosewood Manor. Right, yep. I originally started this back in, oh gosh, I think it was December of 2023 for Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher's birthday stitch. So she had us stitching anything Rosewood Manor. And I really like, I have this Blue Rhapsody. I have the green one. I can't remember what it's called. And there's another color I think I have as well. I really like these. It's almost monochromatic. This is two-toned. I don't know about the other ones. I haven't looked that closely. It is charted in Weeks Dye Works, and I just chose 2 DMCs that I thought color-wise went well. And I kept it pretty much as picture-wise color scheme, even the fabric, which is unusual for me. So here we go. This is where I'm at. This is 18 count Darling David. It's probably maybe a little bit darker than what you're seeing there. The camera's kind of washing it out just a little bit, but it's, you know, one of my favorites. Darling David from Those Missing Stitches. It's one of my favorite neutrals, most certainly. That's not blue. I absolutely love the 2 colors I chose. And because I was talking with people, I figured a good safe bet of something to stitch would be letters. So I definitely worked on, you can see some of them only have the 1 color. They have the lighter color in them. Where you see some of those holes will go the darker. And then there was a letter here. And let's see here. What's under the K? We have some letters, and then over underneath the M, there is an element that I thought I'd get to, but I didn't. And then we also, if I had gotten that far, there's also kind of a line here. So kind of some other marker points that I could do in between once I have some of those letters done. But I figured perfect non-mistake, and I don't think I did make any mistakes, thank goodness, stitching while you're talking. So that's where it is. I really enjoy bringing this one out. It just comes out when I feel like it, to be honest with you. I don't have any particular reasons for it, unless of course it's for a challenge of some sort. This time around though, it wasn't. I was thinking about what I wanted to stitch. I felt like I hadn't done this one in a little while. Who knows, maybe I had, but that's the one that came with me. Alrighty, this next one, what's really funny is I didn't plan this, but you're gonna see reminiscent fabric. I didn't mean to do that. All right, so this next one is my first of 2 finishes. I think it's a pretty safe bet if you have watched and you know. I just buckled down and I did it. I'm showing you the original because I did change the colors significantly. I did it. I finished Librarian's house. I know. I wasn't sure I'd be able to this week because there was still a decent amount of the border to do. The other stuff, not so much. That went quickly, but the border. And you know how I was feeling. I was over it. So I just kind of said, forget it. I am just gonna do and get that one done. So this is what the original does look like. Let me go up a little bit with it. And you can see there's more greens and shades there, even the border and things like that. I changed the greens I used. The only thing that I kept for sure is the red, which is 221. That's the only color of red that is charted there. And I probably kept the brown that was called for. But otherwise, I changed it all up. And here we go. Yay! This one is also on Darling David. I did not mean to do that. It just happened to just, you know, I was making my notes. I didn't even notice it when I was ironing and getting stuff ready like that. But as I went and made my notes to write down them, I said, oh, whoops, back to back, Darling David. This one is a little bit more modeled than the previous one. You know, I mean, you know how that happens with hand dyed. Sometimes they're a little bit more modeled or whatever. I just thought the colors looked great on this, and I really do think so. Now, I did change the house specifically to be the Noah Webster house that you can find in West Hartford, Connecticut. Noah Webster is the father of the dictionary, really, and his parents were probably one of the first kind of librarians, but I don't know if they were called that necessarily, or they were thought of as some. That's what at least one of his parents did. So I thought that was kind of fitting, and I lived in that town, so I saw that house several times. In fact, I was in it, you know, kind of how they do the tour stuff. So I thought that was fun. There is I don't know what the date that was listed here. It's 1794 was meant to signify. I decided I didn't want to put anything. I thought it was fine. You know me, I will pull things out and make it a little less busy sometimes, just because I like kind of sleek, clean lines. So I didn't think I needed anything there. I felt like I'd just be filling in to fill in. But super, super excited with how it came out. I double checked every single one of those little green things around the hearts just to make sure. Because you know, there'd be one you'd have forgotten because you ran out of thread somewhere along the way. But I'm thrilled this finally did get finished. It was a long time coming. And if I had to do it again, I would seriously wonder if I would do the border as is. I might have done the border without the kind of the green stuff around the hearts and just had the hearts and the actual kind of zigzaggy line, but we'll never know now. It's done. Yay. So that's Librarian's house from Stone Street Stitch. And that one now can come off my whip list. Yay. Okay. This next one here is Lighthouse from Cottage Garden Samplings, and ironically, it's another of those missing stitches. I front loaded this, not realizing with Lynn's fabric, because I enjoy using her fabric. This one is part of the Fabulous House series. I will do, I can't remember, maybe like 8 of the houses eventually is my plan. I would like to, I guess I should say. All singly, not as a set, and just pick and choose as I go. I do have the Santa's house started. I'm kind of stalled on that one a little bit. But one of these days I'll get back to it. And here we are, though. Now, I purposely chose this 18 count compelling Conchis from those missing stitches because I did a different Cottage Garden Samplings. If you remember, the Seagull, which was a previous year's series, was also done on this. This one is a little bit darker than that one. I'm looking at it because it's up on the shelving behind us. And this one will be a square, and that one is a rectangle. But I thought they kind of went together. They were, you know, kind of that same theme. Now I am using the DMC, although for the whale, I was gifted the variegated floss. I kind of blanked out there on the name. And so I'm like, that color is also in, I think, like the somewhere in the seagull, but I was like, I want to save it for the whale, and then we'll see what happens, because I want that whale to look really good. So, so that's where we are. You're not gonna be able to see very well, but it's hard to see right now in the camera. There's some of the white, you can see it better in the border, but there's kind of like white caps, on to do the different parts of the water. And then I filled in some water. I finished the seagull, except his beak has one little other thing that I need to do. Kind of came down, oh, you know what I did? Over here, this is what I did. I did the lighthouse. I was trying to think what else I did. This section here that has kind of the railing and the white, I did that. And then I started to, I don't know if you can see it here. It's really pretty, the two different colors, the design. And I went back and forth. Did I want to do the design first and then fill in, or do the outer part and then go in with the design? And I decided I think I wanted to do the counting. The design's not too hard to count, so I thought I'd go that way, and that would be easier than to go back and forth with the lighter color. So that's where we are at the moment, and I am enjoying this one. It comes out when it comes out again. I am not necessarily a seasonal stitcher. I'll pretty much stitch anything any time of year. It doesn't really matter what time of year it is, and so I will just kind of give it a go whenever. I'm feeling a little scattered this morning, but that's okay. I feel like I film in the mornings, and sometimes you sleep well and sometimes you don't. And last night I was good until, I want to say about 4:20 or so, 4:30, and then that was pretty much it. So I guess it was good until then. And I should have gotten up. I always say that, but part of me is always like, no, I'm not going to get up. I'm going to stay in bed. I should have gotten up. All right, so moving on. I started this one last week, and I decided I wanted to put in another set so that I have a really good start on it. Plus, I just so enjoy stitching it. This is the Ruby-Throated Hummingbirds. It's from Boomerang Stitches, and it was one of the exclusives at the Spring Mingle. And it is just so lovely. And every time, the multiple times I've worked on it for the last couple weeks, I really, really enjoy myself. And so I could see this coming out on a fairly regular basis. So be ready. Here it is. This is 18 count. It's Patience is the name of it, from Millennial Fabrics. And I'm really, really pleased with the blue, with what I've chosen here. I think the colors look great. I finished off the flower. It had, kind of some sections there. I did some greenery. I did some more greenery. I've got half of the ladybug filled in. I've got the darker color of the ladybug. I just need to do the red. And then I said, I want to do some of the hummingbird, the first hummingbird. And I so love what I'm seeing, and I can't wait to add all of the other gorgeous greens. I think it's going to look so pretty. Really, really enjoyed this one. So I did get, within the first couple weeks, I did actually get a good 1,000 stitches on this one. I don't have the tablet here that has my pattern keeper on it, so I can't look at that. And I forget to look at percentages, to be honest with you. It did go into pattern keeper seamlessly, but it also is a really easy to read pattern. So if you do not have a digital kind of device, but you do from paper, and I do paper half the time, I only do digital. Even when I have a digital, sometimes I just print it out and do the working copy that way. But this one went in, and if I'm doing it on a Zoom or something, I started this during Spring Mingle, and I find if I'm doing something from the tablet while I'm doing Zooms or those kind of events, I find that a little bit easier than trying to read the paper. On my own, though, reading the paper, depending on the design, is fine. But if you do paper, I think you'd have no trouble reading it. It was very easy to read pattern-wise. So this is where it is. And this one will come out. I did use this one for I Spy Something That Flies. We know those hummingbirds, they fly. We had, a few houses ago now, we had kind of a sun porch. It was a sunroom, actually. It was a four-season room. And we were able to put the feeders right outside the window. And so you could see the hummingbirds coming up right by the window. The next house that we had to put them farther away. There was no room by the house area. So you could see them zipping, but you couldn't see them up close like you could the previous house. And I miss that. They're so cool. Once in a while, we have a few bushes in the front of our house. I think it was it this spring or last fall? It must have been it might have been this year already. I'm not sure. Maybe they've made their way yet. And I did see one. And of course you don't move because you don't want to scare it. And he was eating from, or, sipping from, whatever they do, from one of the plants. And it was kind of neat. But I don't see them as often as I used to, which is too bad. They're really cool birds. Okay, this is my other finish. I finished my Maze Lily of the Valley from Cottage Garden Samplings, and it's not even the end of May, so I'm super excited. I don't anticipate this is always going to happen for each of these months. I still have June through October to finish, so I am plugging away, but all the others besides that are finished now, so we're doing this. My goal is to get them all done by the end of 2025, and here it is. Now, as you can see, I did change I didn't do two colors for the letters. Quite a few of these I have since changed since starting them. I think one of the few that I have kept is the October with the orange and the black, but everything else pretty much has changed. Beyond that, did I change anything else in this pattern? Yes. So the flowers here and here they're switched. They were supposed to be the lighter color on the outside and the darker color on the inside. But with the fabric I chose, I found that light blue, in person you can see them, but I don't know if you can so much here, to be a little light. So I decided I wanted to switch that. And I do like that better because you can kind of see it a little bit better. I have a huge kind of mess somewhere around here. I could not count this. I think I had to stitch it 3 times, frogging it, stitching it. So in the end, I think I fudged it. Now I don't know where the mistake is. I can kind of see maybe, but it's fine. So we are done. Did I say 18 count Nantucket Sky by Fabrics by Stephanie? These are all going to be part of a collection in the scrapbook with all the monthly pieces. I haven't decided how I'm going to quite do it yet, but I'm looking forward to it, having all of them done and doing that up. Okay, so this next piece was my full coverage this month, and it didn't get as much time as, say, some of the others, but I did some math this morning, and I did stitch 1,000 stitches on it, just over 1,000 in the course of, from when I started it this month to now. And so I decided that was a good stopping point, and I'm going to put it away because I have plans. Don't we always have plans? This is Mini Sunflower Cottage. It is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artwork is by Dona Gelsinger. And it's so much fun. It's so lovely, but I am in massive Confettiville. So much so that that's part of why I said, you know what? I hit 1,000. It's just over 500 since you saw it last week. And so that was it. That was plenty for me. I'm doing this on 18 count white aida, 2 strands over 1, full cross. And you may not see like substantial difference, but I've just been really kind of plugging away at different spots with confetti, kind of all over, to be honest, from the stuff up here to the stuff down here. And I would pick a color. Some of this has been filled in some more, as you can see. I'd pick a color and then find the different spots that I could put it in. This whole area has different, kind of flowers and floral stuff. And so it's all very confetti heavy. And I'm sure the entire piece from here on out is most likely going to, because there's lots and lots of flowers. But once I fill this in, because this was all done with paper, a lot of it before I got Pattern Keeper, then hopefully maybe I'll have a better plan moving forward. We'll see. Or I'm just going to be stuck in confetti Confettiville for the rest of it, and it is the way it is. But I enjoyed stitching on it this month at times. At other times I was kind of, you know, but there was a nice mix of some blocks of color and then confetti, and so that made it a little bit more bearable. I'm definitely finding I don't mind some confetti. I do like if I can kind of take the strand. Okay, maybe I have to travel it a bit, but if I can use the strand, I'm happier than if it's 2 stitches of this color, then 1 stitch of this, and then 3 of that. That I don't enjoy as much. And then to be able to mix it with some blocks of color is always really, it's almost like a palette cleanser to me. Okay, I've done a bunch of confetti. It's taken me an hour to do 40 stitches. Now let's try just a block, which I can, you know, do those same number of stitches in, you know, 15 minutes, right? So I did my best, and I did do some more fill-in. I didn't want to do too much block and then really leave myself fill-in. So it's just coming along. I am not sure. Let me see real quick. I don't think this one would, my goals were not humongous on this one for the year. Mini Sunflower Cottage. Oh, 6,000, actually, more than I thought. Not the most, but more than I thought. So I'll have to do some math and see where that one, you know, I'm gonna put this over here on the floor. I have to do some math, see what I've done so far, and it'll come out again later on in the year. Alrighty. This next one is one of my rotational monthly pieces, and this time around, it's so funny because it'll come around after 4 weeks, and you're kind of like, how is it already 4 weeks? I just stitched on this, and you hadn't. The months just keep going by and by. I mean, it's May 16th already. How is that possible? So this is Spring Quaker, and it is from Lila's studio. If you're new, I have spring and summer on the go. And summer is fairly as called for. Spring, I have done massive changes on this. You've heard the story, many of you, if you've been around. I just wanted to signify regrowth and the birth of flowers and trees and all of that. So I changed the colors to mostly greens, different shades of greens, and I just love it. And I finally cut it. I had the leftover fabric hanging around on it, and it was driving me nuts. So I said, that's it. We're cutting it down. So that's where it is. This is 18 count rose hips by Under the Sea Fabrics. And in fact, it was perfect because it was pulling it out anyway. But when I looked at my I Spy prompts, one of them is something that's an arched line. Well, the top of the basket is arched. The top of this area is arched. Even technically, some of these Quakers are kind of arched as well. So I thought, oh, that's perfect. I'm already stitching it, and it does an I Spy prompt for me. And I concentrated on, if I fold this a little bit here, on this Quaker right here. That Quaker still had over 500 stitches to do on it, and I got it done. I said, that's it. I'm just going to plug away at that. Now, over here, there is still a flower and a stem, so that would be probably, at this point, I think I'll try to finish out the border and then go back to the middle. I had wanted to try the middle for a little bit, and now that I have, at this point, I just want to get this outer section done. So I do have to do that, and then there is a section to put your initials, which I don't know if I will do. I may just pick another one of the little tiny motifs and put it there instead. Maybe like a heart or something. I know there is, where is it? Over here. See that little heart over there? I might, this little guy, the green one. I might put that there, or one of the other elements. I'll have to see how much space I have and what fits. And then that's it. I think that's the border then. So I am so close to being just in the middle. And Summer Quaker is already just the middle. So there's a lot of stitching. I'm not going to make predictions that I'm not sure I can keep, but I feel like keeping these up, they may not be finished in 2025. In fact, I'd probably be surprised if they are, but they will be really far along. I'm not stitching either of these on any type of tablet. They're just paper, so I do not have a percentage on that. But I do feel like 2026 could be the year that both of those get finished, which will be super exciting. Of my 4 rotational pieces, the plan is 2025, and then 2026 for those 2. Black Roses is, no, that's not. What's my other rotational piece? Oh, Mary Poppins. That's going to take a few more years, I think. We'll see. But it's nice because then once one of them gets finished, I can slot in one of the other big pieces and we can just keep going. I really like how that's not making me tired of the piece because it's every 4th week I work on it, but it's getting some good progress. 500 a month at least is 6,000 stitches a year. So, and then if it comes out for challenges, maybe I get a little bit more. All right, I did have one new start. You knew I was most likely going to. I was going to start a gnome. It's hashtag gnome along, and I'm doing it with Katie. Katie Jeremiah's mom is her channel, and Karen, the Stitching Owl, and then our friend Karen D, which we're getting her potentially. I might have a Flosstube name to give you at some point with Karen, our second Karen friend. So that would be so much fun. But we all decided to start some gnomes, and Karen D started the same gnome as I did, which was so much fun. I took it from this set. These were super cute. These are from Soda Stitch. So you buy the set, you get all 3. If you remember with my pretzel gnome, I am only stitching that guy. I may stitch one or the other as well. And I wanted to stitch these singly too. My 2 favorite ones are the frog and the cup of tea, both of which, the frog is cute. I drink tea all the time, so that's why I like that one. They're all cute, mind you, and maybe at some point I'll do all 3, but this is the one. And let me go this way with it so you can see him a little up closer. It might be a bit pixelated, but that's what he's going to look like. Now, I started at the top, and I decided to work my way down. This frog is so stinking cute. I'm going to tell you, if you have this, I could totally see. Now, this is 18 count. It's 18 count silver lining from To Die For fabric. So he's kind of small, but he is super, super cute. You could stitch him, Karen, Stitching Out Karen, if you watched her last few videos, you know, especially the one where she was showing the finishes, she stitched some needle minders, and she had said, oh, he'd be really kind of cute stitched that way. The other thing I thought, if you wanted to stitch him as a bookmark, I was thinking about, and I don't think I have any available around here. I used to do, as a paper crafter, I used to take the giant paper clips, and then I would stamp something, and then I had a couple of layers of cardstock, so it's cute. And then you glued that front and back, and then basically you use the paper clip as a bookmark, and the little picture would show from the top. How cute would he be stitched small? Now the thing is, you have to I'd have to figure out how to finish him round. I don't know if you can lace something that small, because they were round pieces, and he would be adorable at the top of like one of those bookmarks. Maybe I'll try. But anyway, he'd be super cute, even if you stitched him, say, on, I don't know, a 25/2, obviously with more strands of thread than what maybe you'd usually use. He would be a really cool size. He's adorable. I didn't realize how cute he'd be until after he was stitched. But I got quite a bit done. I'm super excited. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have the hat starts right over here. I was thinking to myself, I have no room over here, but no, the hat goes over this way. That's why I started it over here, because I knew I had to go this way. You know, so the gnome starts here, and there'll be 3 more books that they're smaller as you go along, because they're kind of behind the gnome. And so I'm really looking forward to getting him stitched too. These Soda Stitch gnomes are definitely easier a stitch than the Wonder Stitch UA, the large ones I'm doing, obviously those are larger, right? And I love those. So there's no criticism because I love how they use so many colors to get that vibrant kind of almost realistic, it jumps off the page, look at you. These are much easier stitches. Yes, the leaves of the book have a white and a kind of a beigey gray to give you that kind of depth, but that's it. And then the gnome himself, he'll have the two colors of the blue in most of him, and his beard will be mostly white with a little bit of gray. So it'll be a faster and easier stitch. If you wanted to do any small stitches of these for somebody, I think that would be really cute. You could even take this section here, you could take the 3 row of books and you could have a cute little, if you were, you know, giving somebody to somebody or making a bookmark out of just something like that. Or there's lots of different fun things you can do with this, but I really enjoyed the start of this. This did go into Pattern Keeper very easily. I didn't have to do anything, not have to add the colors, nothing. I am using all the DMCs that are called for, and I'm really enjoying it. Yes, you'll see more of these gnomes. And I know some of you are not gnome people. I don't know where this gnome enjoyment comes from, but I am enjoying the gnomes, not gonna lie. Alrighty, moving on. Shores of Hawkran Hollow. This is from Carriage House Samplings. Now this is what the original looks like. I am not doing the original. I had a plan of doing about half of it. And as I've been stitching and going along, I'm actually going to take that and take out, let me see if I can find the picture. If you watch Georgia Girl Stitching, Megan, she is stitching this and she, oh, there it is. Let me write down Megan's name. She had cut it down, you know, re-changed things around. Oops, flying hair. And this is what she's doing. And I asked, is it okay if I do that as well? And she, of course, very graciously said, of course. And this was my plan. But as I'm stitching this, it's very slow going for me. And I don't understand. This week, for example, I got quite a bit done and you wouldn't know it. There's just a lot of stitching, I think, partly in this. And as I've thought about that, I reevaluated what I wanted with this piece. And so what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to take out this center piece right here. And I will stitch that maybe at some point by itself. And I was not going to stitch the words anyway. So maybe I do something up in that corner or whatever, and that would be a cute stitch on its own. So I'm going to take that out and just have 4 blocks, one on top of each other. I am not sure if it's these 4 blocks. It's definitely these 2. I did the words on this. It's the only place I'm going to do the words, I think. If I do this one, maybe, and I might kind of do it kind of diagonally like that. We'll see. So I haven't really figured that out. I'm still in the first block. So there's plenty of time to consider it. This is 18 Count Pale Ale from Dying for Cross Stitch. And I was inspired by the original. If I was to do this again, now that I do a lot more in kind of blues and stuff, I might have changed. But I think I might have done a gray potentially because wouldn't want, there's a lot of colors that you'd want to make sure do show up, and the blue might have been an issue. But I'm actually enjoying it, and it's something different than what some of the other colors I stitch on. I just kept going with water at this point. I think what I might do next time, I might finish out this border, and maybe at some point I might just do the borders and then figure out which ones I want to do from there. At this point, I have all the water to do, and then I have kind of the birds. I presume they're seagulls, flying seagulls, I'm not sure. So there's still a lot to do in this block. And I did a good chunk of stitching on this one this week. I can't remember. It might have been about 400 stitches. Just under 400 stitches, and doesn't look it. If you'd like to see one that's really humming along, Nancy, the Disorderly Stitcher. So Nancy had started leap day. She did one of the leap day stitch-alongs where she took this and she cut this in half, and you have 12 blocks, right? So in 4 years, the idea is to do a certain number of blocks per month, and at the end of the 4 years, before the next leap year, you'd have this entire piece finished. And I don't know if Nancy is completely caught up. The last time I watched, I'm not sure she is, but she is very much plugging along, and she's doing the whole thing. She's plugging along much better than I am. I did start it around the leap day, and it's stalling, but it'll get there. I do enjoy it when I pull it out, but then I'm always kind of like at the end when I'm done, wondering, what did I do? It doesn't feel like I did very much. You know what I mean? Some of those some projects are like that. Some, like the hummingbird, I just see things popping and coming alive, and it's so satisfying to stitch. This one, you have to realize you're in for the long haul, and it'll take longer to come out. I guess that's my mind frame on that one. All right, so this next one, I don't remember why I pulled it out. Did I see? Oh, I think I saw Heather. Yes, Heather, the 20-minute stitcher. You're the 20-minute stitcher, right, Heather? She popped in with a video because she's been very, very busy. Busy times for you, Heather. And I think she showed this one. I'm almost sure that's where I saw it. You know, you watch in a Flosstube and then you get confused where you saw things. But it is the Haunted Library Sal stitch along. It's no longer a Sal. It's been over for a few years. I did not start it I waited till it was completely done. And it was after that I said, oh, this is kind of cool. Let's start this. So that's what it looks like. Mine is on a much different fabric than that. It was really cool to see all the fabrics people chose. It is phenomenal and fun, but I am making this way more difficult on myself than it needs to be. So that's where I am. This is 18 count Imagine from Mystic Fabrics. And okay, that's probably slightly darker modeling, but this one is actually pretty modeled. Now, I'm not really worried about it. Sometimes when I have really modeled fabric, I really think long and hard. I want it to work with the pattern, not take over the stitching. And so, you know, you always have to think about, what am I going to do with this? But there's still quite a bit of fill in. So once everything is stitched, like here, it's a really nice kind of cool backgroundy area, or up here. And so I think in the end, it's going to look really neat. We'll have, you know, kind of the books going up into that color, and she's kind of in this area, kind of hovering and all of that. So I think it's really going to be neat in the end. And I don't think it's going to look anywhere near as overpowering as I was worried. Now, the first time I worked on this twice this week, and this is where I'm giving myself in trouble. Every time I go to start it again, I say, I'm going to pick, like, you know, you've got various books everywhere, you know, on the shelves, over in these other areas. I think I had to finish a book or two here. And so what I've been doing is I'll take that color and then I try to find it somewhere else. Well, that's really slow going. I mean, really slow going. And so the first day I worked on it, I got hardly anything accomplished. Then I said, I did actually start, because I got kind of tired of that, I did start some of this guy as well. But then the second time I pulled it out, I said, what is that? Oh, that's part of a book that's being held. I was wondering what those colors are. That's another one I did. I said, let's come down here and try to finish some elements over this area and focus on something rather than worrying about going from here to wherever with the color. And it's not done, but I got a nice little chunk of, that looks like it's a gravestone. And then there's going to be books again in front of here. But I was much more satisfied with the second time I stitched on this week, because I kind of felt like I had a plan. So what I need to do, and I do this to myself every time, is to remember that and not try to do all of the bouncing around, because I'm just not getting anywhere when I do that. I do want to change up here. I've mentioned it. I don't like the clown. I don't necessarily have things against clowns in general. That one really creeps me out. And so I'm going to put, I think, a typewriter up there. What I need to do in the Lola Crow Facebook page, I want to say in the files, there is that. So I think I want to print that out and get that one stitched, and then I can work my way down in this area, because this one's almost done. Yes, I've got some books, but this is almost, and kind of work way that way too. So just to have kind of a plan to start finishing and working my way towards that other area. So this just comes out again willy-nilly. Did I do? Nope, there's nothing here that's listed for some sort of challenges. I think it was just the fact that I saw it and I got inspired to give it a go. And I'm happy with getting it going. It's one of my older projects. I don't have the list here. I think it might be on the first page of my 9 pages of notes from my WIP parade in January. So that tells me it's an older one, because anything on the first page is 2020, 2021, 2020, actually through 2022 even. Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe it's the second page then, because it's not as old as 2020. I don't know. All right, this one was an I Spy. The prompt was, what's the actual... something you force yourself to stitch. I think it's well documented that I love this piece, but this patterning has been driving me nuts, especially given, obviously I'm not going to show you, anybody who's ever done a cottage garden would know it's kind of grayscale-ish inside. So I was trying it with a working copy, and I was having really a lot of trouble seeing all of this. I tried to take a picture and put it in markup. It only sort of worked. And so I did that for a little while, but I was still frustrated. So in the end, I opened this up and clipped it onto my holder, and I would look and see what I would do and then mark it off on my working copy. But seeing it in the color seemed to help a little bit. Having said that, it may not look like I've accomplished a ton, but I'm really pleased actually. This entire section, that outer border of color, is completely done now. There is a slight mistake somewhere or other. I had made the mistake, I don't know, whenever, a few stitches ago, and I said I'm not pulling out at this point. I am putting stitches into this piece, not frogging if I can help it. It'll be fine. There's 2 different shades, a darker shade and then kind of a lighter for kind of shading and shadowing. So I think I'm going to fill in the lighter one and fill those in. And again, does it have to be perfect? No, but then that will be really easy filling all of that in. This, you can see, has a design to it, so I do have to go back to that. But I did the design here on this one, and that's all filled in, both the outside and the inside. There's some on this. I think this, the brown was done, but the yellow inside is done. So this is almost, yeah. Is that stitched? Oh, no. Those do have to be filled in on this block, but that'll be easy. That's fill in. That's completely done. And then I also did some of, this is just kind of a gray and a black, which will be nice and easy. And then I need to also kind of fill in and work on some of the leaves down here too. This is 18 count buttercream from To Die For fabric. That's showing a little bit lighter. It's a little bit deeper of a yellowish cream, and I'm really liking the colors with it. Could this one be done by Thanksgiving? Might be a bit ambitious, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to give it that old college try, I think, which means I'll have to find it for different prompts and challenges. But I'll be happy when that one's done. I'm not at the level of frustration that I was with the border of Librarian's house. I feel a lot better now that I've figured out how to work those designs. I find those designs in Cottage Garden of the different ones, they're beautiful. They really are beautiful, but they're intricate. And so you have to really be paying attention in order to work on them. And it's easy to make mistakes, especially sometimes it's hard to see. So we're getting there. I have 2 more left to show you. This first one is Arabesque from Jan Hicks Creates. And this one is way bigger than you realize. This one also got over 400 stitches, and I'm still in one section. I am still over on this side. Look at this beautiful kind of fan-like piece. There's so many stitches in that. So many stitches. I have seen this stitched with so many different kind of colors and schemes, and it's beautiful to see everybody's take on this. I don't know what the name of this fabric is. It's an 18 count, but it didn't have a name attached to it. I think, given the feel, that it's dying for cross stitch, Kathy, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I did pull out and use Elven Wine from Stitchy Stuff Co. is the floss I'm using. It's a lightly variegated, and I am not actively trying to get a ton of variegation. I want it very, very subtle because I really want just to see the beautiful color against this kind of really light gray. And so you can see I'm getting there. I am almost done. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I have the inside of this one to finish this and that to come around, and this entire piece will be done. I did have a little bit of strand of thread left, so I did do this little element, but whatever you take out that, the rest of this was 400 stitches that I worked on. So it's coming. It's coming along. I can't wait. I think the letters are going to go faster. And once this giant piece is done, there's a whole row of letters. You've got a large element right here, small motifs, and then the bottom border I think will go pretty quick too. So I feel like once I kind of work my way, then this one can definitely get moving and move faster. I'm enjoying it, so I'm not particularly worried that it's going slow, but it just amazed me. I thought for sure I would have that part done after that much stitching, and whew, I think I probably still have another at least 200-300 stitches in that area. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. It's going a little slower. It's more than you think, right? Our mantra. Okay, now I'm so excited. This very last one. If you watch Andrew, the Runner Stitcher, which I'm sure you are because he's wonderful, you know that Andrew is doing this wonderful fun event where he's training for a marathon and we're stitching in our training for the marathon. And there's so many ways people are doing it. The original way he's got it is every time he runs, he's got this fantastic kind of document that he just fills in as he goes. And, you know, whatever the training has said, and it's the number of stitches, it's the number of miles per day. So he puts down his mileage and the amount of time he ran. So if you can multiply the miles by 10, and that's how many on a given day you stitch. So if he ran 5 miles, 50 stitches, or you can do the time and stitch for that amount of time. Now, I know some people are doubling the stitch count, doing 20 stitches per mile, or maybe they're doing mileage for one piece and time for another piece. Lots of different ways they're doing it. I am doing 10 times the miles, and I'm so excited. Now you have to remember, I am not somebody who can draw. I don't even want to be like a fabulous like drawer. I just want to be a doodler. I want to be able to doodle really well, and I can't even doodle well. So take that into account when I show you my page. So you know that I absolutely have so much fun taking this as my challenge notebook, and I decorate it and do my challenges and all of that kind of fun stuff. And that's what I've been doing for this entire year. I love coloring things in. I love doing different colors, stickers, washi tapes, the whole bit. So I said to myself, how in the world do I want to do this? Now this is going to repeat each month, so I'm going to have to draw this through August. We'll see if I get any better by the end. That's 4 months of doing this doodling. And there's so many other doodles I wanted to do, but I tried and it just didn't look very good. So I just had this vision, and I was looking on Pinterest because there's all sorts of bullet journal and those kind of things, and people can do such fun stuff. And I just had this vision of a road. I wanted to be able to mark off on a road as Andrew ran. So here's my page. I drew, okay, really don't laugh. I had to give him a baseball cap. I don't know if he runs with a hat or not, but the head didn't look right without the baseball cap. So we have a little running Andrew. And then what I've done is I basically have each day. So we started on the 5th of May with a rest day. And then I have the rest of May marked out. So in June, obviously, I'd have all 30 days of June, and we'll do that leading up to race day in August. But what I've done is, and I don't have the legend here, but number of miles will be a different color. So you can tell my rest days are the deeper purple, and then 1 to 5 miles is the lighter purple, and then, 6 to 10, 11, whatever it is. So we have 2 of the blues, which were longer runs that he's had. I think, except for race day, I don't think any of the daily training days go over 20 miles. I think I looked through his whole training regimen, and I think 20 might be the most. So that means race day, which is, I did a color for 21 to 26 miles. That will be the only day that color shows up, I think, if I read his training right. Now, I really wanted to. So he started training in Florida at his parents'. So I did want to draw some palm trees, and they didn't look good. And then now he's in New York City. So I was going to draw some buildings. And I really wanted to do Winston at the end here. And poor little Winston did not look good in my practice. So we did not do Winston. I'm going to try to look for maybe some stickers that I can throw on there. Maybe like some city ones. And like I said, a couple palm trees, if I can find small ones to go to signify the start of the training in Florida. I just want to have fun and decorate, and you know what I mean? That's half the fun. I am a paper crafter as well as a stitcher, and I love doing that kind of stuff, and it just makes it so much fun. So I did spend an afternoon working on that page. What I chose as my project is my oldest project, and it is Christmas Town from Stitchrovia. So that's what it will look like when it's done. And I did, so I've done up through the 14th. I did not do yesterday, and I don't know what today's is yet. I think Andrew has said by noon he'd have it up, but I know he'd have the mileage written as what he did. But I know there's been a couple times I've looked at it, and it's been before noon, but I get it, give him the chance, right, to do the running. But here's where I am so far. I can't remember how much mileage that is at the moment. Let me see if I have my notes. Well, the first week was 27 miles, so that would be 270 stitches. And since then, the second week so far, I've seen 8 more miles. So you can do the math. But that's where it is. This one is slow going in the sense of there's just tons of color changes. This was the only area that was not, but it's so much fun. I really like Emma Congdon, who is Stitchrovia. This is an 18 count white opal. I don't know if you can see that. I was originally going to keep the pathway open. I'm going to stitch everything and see what it looks like. I'm not sure how good that will look. I may end up going back and stitching all of that white. I mean, obviously I'm stitching the white in the tree or on the buildings and things like that, because otherwise it would just look like there was stuff missing. Do you know what I mean? So in the end, I have to figure out if I like that look or if I kind of say nope. And at that point, it'd just be one color. So that would go faster. Basically, I am treating this like, okay, pick a color. And I think at this point, from here, up here is completely done. I pick whatever symbol, and then I find it in different spots. Sometimes it's big chunks, like that part of the house, and sometimes it's just like little bits all over the place. I think 1 or 2 of the pinks might be done at this point. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm just plugging away on this. I don't suspect that will be enough to get it finished, but I think I can get really far, and maybe that last month in August I double it and maybe do 20 stitches per mile. We'll see, to kind of up it. But then, the race is in end of August, I believe, so that still gives me several months to try to get this one finished by Christmas. So I'm just plugging along, and I'm having fun filling out my page. So there's an official hashtag whip into shape page, and there will be one for every month in my challenge journal. So that's so much fun. All right, that is my stitching for the week. Thank you so much for indulging me and letting me show you my journal part 2. I can't tell you how much I really enjoy like this page right here. I do different things there and filling in here. I still have to do, I think this page is going to be Whip Frenzy. Not this weekend, next weekend in Whip Warriors is Whip Frenzy. Of course, you can do it on your own without being part of Whip Warriors. And then I think that's it. So this will be my June cover page. If you do journals like this, I find washi tape is really nice. In some, I don't do it every page, but sometimes with the signatures, depending on where they are, they start to get maybe like a little looser. So the washi tape just kind of fills it. And what's nice is as I fill this in, you can see how the book's getting thicker. So it'll just be this really lovely thick book that I might keep. And then look, it'll be fine anyway, because you have this at the end that you can use too. So I highly, if you want to do challenges, my suggestion is find a way to keep track of them. Now, maybe it's just in a spreadsheet. Maybe it's just writing it on a notebook somewhere. Maybe it's not coloring and decorating, but find a way that you enjoy that's satisfying to keep track of them. And that might also be helpful, because I found I was doing the challenges, I wasn't keeping them in a specific spot, and I was just confusing myself, and I wasn't enjoying them. Once I started to keep track of them and then make it pretty, I was really enjoying it, because the decorating is half the fun. All right, so what are my plans? I totally blanked on the fact that the 13th came and went. And on the 13th of each month, I stitch Halloween. I've been trying to. But see, this is why these things don't work for me, because I don't generally always know the date. So you will see Halloween stitching, but not this week, because I just forgot that it was the 13th. But I do want to do some and get some pieces moved along. So you will see some. So there is that. Hashtag whip into shape. I'll just keep showing that each week as we go along. I don't know, I had one day where I did a whole bunch, and then I did pull it out again, which is why I have more than just the first week done. I'm not pulling it out on a daily basis, but maybe every few days, pull it out, put in however number of stitches. And what I've been doing is if I go over the number for that day, I've been carrying that and saying, okay, that is extra stitches for the next day when I get to it. There's never really that many to carry, but it's just like a nice little buffer. So if for some reason I'm short on stitching time, I'm not trying to frantically make up something. So, because we want it to be fun, not a chore. So there is the whip into shape. Then, okay, I'm starting this next Friday, so you'll get a video before I start this probably, but I did want to give you a little heads up. Just Cross Stitch Magazine, Summer 2025, our chameleon here. It's called, what is the pattern called? It's called A Silent Expression of Art. And it is from a new designer, Cara Brown of the Elfin Forest, right? And we talked about this during the flip through that I did. And I had talked about, oh, I wonder if the chameleon has a name, and the chameleon needs a name. So I reached out to the designer. And I said, I don't want to presume, did you name this as you were creating this? And she said, no, she did not. I said, could we have a little kind of fun naming contest? And she said, go for it. So if you look, there were some cute names that people thought of at the flip through video. So I'm going to pull those out and have those in a list. And then when we start stitching this, if you want to stitch this with me, I'm starting next Friday. So next Friday would be 16 plus 7 is what, 23? It'll be the 23rd, which will be leading us into Memorial Day weekend. If you want to stitch this with me, we're going to try to come up with a list of different names, and then we're going to have a contest and see which name we think we want to name this chameleon. And of course, you can always name yours whatever you want, but I just thought it'd be fun, and then we can tell the designer what we came up with. So if you'd like to join me, I'm starting this next Friday. I think I talked about it in the flip through. I don't think I'm going to do all of the flowers. I think I'm going to do some sort of visual triangle, and then just keep it more, I think, rectangular. I do like this color of fabric background, though. I think that looks really nice. So I'm going to go through my fabrics and see what I have. I don't know what the called for was. It was a chrysalis Picture This Plus. So if you'd like to join me, that's next Friday. And then, oh gosh, I forgot to pull out. I did get interest for stitching along with me the Forest Goddess from Quaternion Creations. do you want to start this by sometime the end of this month? Let me know. And I also got interest in Real Comfort from Modern Folk Embroidery. I ordered a couple of different variegated flosses because I'd like to do it monochromatically, and I have about 2 or 3 visions of what color scheme I want. So when those come in, I'll kind of do some floss tosses. So this one would have to wait maybe to the beginning of June. If you'd be willing to wait for me on that one, then I'll start that one the beginning of June. So those two are also plans, maybe the end of May, beginning of June. And then on the first day of summer, if I go back to my photos, Karen the Stitching Owl and I are starting Shack on the Shore from Flossabilities. So if you'd like to join Karen and I, we're going to start that on the very first day of summer. I don't know if that's the 20th or 21st this year. I haven't looked at the calendar. And then on the 24th of June, Mary from Mary's Stitching Corner, let me write down Mary and I have a whole slew of things we're going to stitch together. We're already stitching several things together, and then we have a pile. We have this ongoing list. So between now and the end of the year, you're gonna see a lot of stuff that Mary and I plan on stitching. But Mary and I are going to stitch Strawberry Goose Witch together. And I know I can't remember who it was, but somebody had reached out and said, how about stitching this in June because of the Strawberry Moon? And I think that would work perfectly. Let me pause this for a minute. Oh, I don't know what happened there. So hopefully that didn't, however that worked. My phone is connected to the car systems, and Mo just started the car, and so it popped up on my phone. So there might have been a little bit of awkwardness there. Ignore it. Let's just move on. I'm not going to cut it out. I don't know if it popped up on the screen or if I just paused. I have no clue. Anyway, so I thought, so Strawberry Moon, right, for June. So that's what that got started. And then we ended up going with June 24th because the designer is actually releasing this one as a digital on that date. So if you would like to get the digital version rather than the hard copy, then it will be available on the 24th, which is why I said, well, let's wait till the end of the month. So this way, if anybody wants the digital, because not everybody likes paper. And so I want to include everybody. So that's June 24th on that one. And I am planning on stitching it. I do already have that. I've got the floss already pulled for it. It's all DMC. And I'm doing an opal green. I don't know if you can see you probably won't see the opal, and it's going to wash out if I bring closer, but I'm really excited. I've done a floss toss. It looks pretty good, and going to have fun with that. So that's kind of those plans with that, with the June starts. Yeah, so just some things to plan if you would like to join on any of those pieces. Alrighty, shopping. I got my fabric of the month from Fabrics by Stephanie. If you do not want to see it, I'm actually not going to say the name because the name will give it away, and I don't want to give away even what color scheme it is. So look away if you do not want to see. I'm going to show you the name first, and then I'll pull it out to show you the actual color. So here it is, the name. And I get 18 count, as you can see. And I'm going to pull it out now to show you what it looks like. And that's probably pretty good shade-wise. It's very pretty. Lots of things are going to look nice on this. So let me put it down. And yeah, I love Stephanie's fabrics, and I was super excited when she started the fabric of the month a couple years ago. She did not have 18 account available because she just couldn't get a reliable source. So when she kind of upped it again and said 18 counts available, I think I contacted that first day it was available. Because I wanted to get in because I love her fabrics. Alrighty, and then I did go to I'll talk about life and about the Mother's Day weekend, but on Saturday I did go up to Dover, Delaware, and went to Floss and Flame, and so I wanted to show you a few things from Floss and Flame. This is the card, if you remember. Thank you so much. As you know, up through May 11th, I had a 15% off code for Floss and Flame. And so when I went up, because you never know, is anybody going to use it? And I asked Jen, I said, I hope people used it. And she said, so many of you did. So a super thank you to each and every one of you who, if you were able to, obviously if you couldn't, no worries. But those of you who took advantage of that and shopped at the store, I mean, owning your own business is tough. And, you know, this business is less than a year old, and you supporting a small business, a new business, is just so wonderful. So I know Jen appreciates every one of you who placed an order, and I appreciate you doing so as well. Thank you so much for supporting my local needlework shop. Alrighty, so what few things did I come home with? I got the Chubby U from the Jeanette Douglas. His little head with the body is just hysterical. I couldn't not. I haven't really stitched any of these. I'm collecting them at the moment, one of these days. I did get, from the Night Garden palette, Forget Me Nots from Ink Circle. I want to say, and I may be completely wrong, but Beth, are you stitching this one? Steadfast Stitcher. I can't remember if she is or not. For some reason, I thought she was, or maybe she showed it. I don't remember, but I saw that and I thought that was cute. And then I also got from the Night Garden, I've got the palette. I bought it last time, not necessarily to stitch a bunch of these, but I just liked the colors. But, you know, obviously now that I have a few of them, this is Night Owl from Stitchy Prose. I thought that was really nice. So I picked that one up as well. So I'll use, and they do give approximate DMZ conversions, both Ink Circles. I love how Ink Circle, she's like DMC-ish. And Stitchy Prose also gives a conversion. So if you don't have it or don't want to get the is it Threadworks? Yes, then you don't have to. The last chart that I got, and then I got a few, you know how I like to just pick flosses. Sampler Holidays Halloween from Blueberry Ridge. I'm stitching Autumn, the sampler season Autumn, and Mary is as well. And it's funny because Mary kind of reached out to me and said, oh, I bought this. I said, oh, I did too. So Mary and I are going to have a stitch along on this one. And we're also doing the Christmas one together. And we want to do all the seasons. So you're going to see Mary and I stitching Blueberry Ridge designs for quite some time together. But if you'd like to join us, I'm trying to decide what color fabric and floss I want to do on this one. And then, so I got two different kinds of flosses. I got some Classic Colorworks and I got some Color and Cotton. So I just wanted to show you. Let me see. What if I put it up against, no, I'll put it up against maybe this book. We have Mulled Berries. So my theory with variegated floss, I don't buy called for variegated flosses. I go and I look at colors I like, and then I say, I'm going to find places to put them in my patterns. Then we have Jelly Roll. We have Tyler Boy Blue, which I really like that because it's got kind of almost, it's not purplish, but it's kind of a bluish, kind of light blue and dark blue. And then this one is Auntie D, which is really kind of a cool set of, I don't know, deep blue, and I don't know if that's purples or blacks or whatever. So those four Classic Colorworks. And then every time I go, Jen has been expanding, and so she's been adding different kinds of flosses, and I don't think she had Color and Cotton last time I was there, but now she does. So I picked up, you can tell this one is very jewel toned. I went jewel tone with this. I picked up Winterberry. So we have that. Because, you know, anything that has like orangey, deep orange, kind of burnt sienna look is, I always have to buy. We got Bonfire. I picked up Daydream because I love deep teals. And then the last one is Witch's Brew, which is a very kind of deep purple, almost purple black, which was kind of cool. So I picked those up and I just throw them in things. If I decide, ooh, I want to stitch something monochromatically with something, then obviously I'll calculate how much I need and then maybe try to get some more. And I know sometimes floss dye lots are not the same, but if they're radically different, I can mix and match and figure it out. I'm not worried about that. So thank you, Jen, too, for your stitchy kindness. You are such a lovely person, and I cannot wait to come up and just hang out with you for a day and stitch. And give me a couple weeks, and then maybe we'll come up and we'll do a stitchy day. So thank you, Jen. Alrighty, so that's it. That's all the stitching I've got. So thank you so much. If you stayed, I thought for sure this would be shorter because I was zooming along on my projects, and then all of a sudden I stalled. I talked a lot about some of them, I guess. Alrighty, so life is next. So if you don't care about that, then I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time. This past weekend was Mother's Day weekend. It was extremely quiet. I am seeing both my kids this weekend coming up. So I did not see either one last weekend, and that's fine because if we planned that, we knew what was happening. It would be silly to do the extra trip at this point. So Mo kind of made it almost like a Mother's Day weekend. On Saturday morning, I woke up, he's like, happy Mother's Day weekend. And in fact, we did quite a bit on Saturday. So it was like a 24-hour sort of thing. First, he played pickleball because, he's got to play his pickleball. But I was fine with that. I kind of puttered around and did whatever and stuff. And then we went up to Dover. Floss and Flame, every other Saturday, she does a kind of like sit and stitch sort of thing. And this weekend, that last weekend happened to be one. I believe the store is open 11 to 4 on Saturdays, and every other Saturday. I'm sure if you check the website, you can see. So if you ever want to come to Dover and sit and kind of stitch, look at her website, Floss and Flame. And it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Met and talked with some really lovely people. And then, of course, you also can shop. So it was so funny because we went up and I said, well, I probably got there. It was after 11. It was probably closer to 11:30 by the time Mo finished and, showered and all that stuff. And we're about an hour away. So we had to drive up there. And I said, well, how, I don't want to spend too long up there. He was like, spend as much time as you want. He downloaded some shows onto his iPad. He had a book and he had his phone. So he's like, I have lots to do. Don't worry about that. So I stayed probably, and he did run out and get me some lunch as well. So I probably stayed till about 2:30. I think in the end it was a beautiful day. So he kind of had the car windows open. I think he took a nap, he said at one point, and just, kind of hung out, outside and just did his own thing while I sat and I stitched and did a little shopping and all of that good stuff. And then I said, well, I really would like to go to, we haven't done the Thai restaurant. So we drove down to Ocean City, Maryland, and had a fantastic, as usual, dinner. It gets a lot harder to go there after Memorial Day, between Memorial Day and Labor Day, because of the beach traffic. And Ocean City is incredibly busy during the summer. So that's even much more difficult to get there and to navigate. So I wanted to we might try to sneak in one more visit before the summer really starts, and then I have to wait. So we had a fantastic dinner, and what's always great is I always have a second meal out of it. So that means I had lunch the next day from there as well. So that was fun. And then Sunday morning, which was Mother's Day, we did our acai bowls and we sat at the beach. And in fact, we should have brought the beach chairs because it was a beautiful morning and we could have sat on the beach. But usually what we do is we sit on the boardwalk, and there was all sorts of dolphins. Now, I had the wrong glasses on because these are new. I have a question for you in a minute about how to use them. But I had the wrong glasses on, so I could see them, but I couldn't see really details. But the dolphins were, I don't know, they traveled this way, and then they kind of came back that way. And so you'd see them breaking the water. So it was perfect. It was a beautiful morning. I was having my bowl, and I got to see dolphins. What more could you want? And then the rest of the day, I think Mo he had a list. He had a list of things to do. And I stitched and he did his list, and it worked out well for me. He had to do, I don't know, power washing like the patio and the chairs and all that stuff. So that was the rest of his day and the rest of my day. So it was a really lovely weekend. And then I'm looking forward to seeing the kids this weekend. So that'll be fun. Speaking of glasses, so I got my eyes checked a few weeks ago, and they had said, because I use reading glasses and distance glasses, and they said, how about you try progressives? Now, I tried them 5 or 6 years ago and failed miserably. Like, I could not, I was vertigo the entire time, and I tried them for a few weeks. And so I said, no, it's not going to work. And they said, okay. And, remade just the distance glasses. So I said, I'll try it again. So I guess I have, distance, computer level, and then reading. Now, I'm doing so far okay, but if I look down and then try to do something, it's like I'm on a boat, right? The ground just sort of moves, and I don't feel the vertigo as much as I did the last time around. Even if I'm looking at the counter and then I kind of try to do stuff, it like kind of moves kind of funny kind of thing. So do we have any experts? What am I doing wrong? How do I fix that? Because I do like the idea of just one set of glasses. It's much easier not having to carry around both sets of glasses. For the most part, my eyes have adjusted. They're not hurting. They were tired the first day or two, but that's okay. And I'm trying to figure out, I can do fine with the distance. Looking at the computer level, I'm a little unsure of how that works. I don't know. She said something about moving your nose where you want to go, but that just seems like then if I want to read, my head's totally down. I don't know. Is that what you do? So if anybody who is an expert can give me some suggestions, I would love it. I know I can Google, and I probably will anyway. Maybe there's some YouTube videos on how to get used to progressive glasses, but I would really love any feedback that you can give me. And as you can tell, they are like a bluish gray, because why not, right? That is me. So that was my big deal, and just trying to get used to my glasses all week. Other than that, nothing book-wise really to talk about. Mo and I have been watching, we've watched 4 of the 6 episodes. British shows. I love British shows, but they never have a lot of episodes. On BritBox, we started watching Ludwig. It's a very cute, I would call it a cozy mystery TV show. The main character, he is a very kind of shy, introverted, logical person. So he makes puzzle books, I think, for a living. And puzzles make sense to his brain. People do not, because they're not logical, right? So he's very much doesn't do anything or go anywhere, but lives with his puzzles. His twin brother, on the other hand, is completely the polar opposite. Went out into the world as a police officer, police detective. Well, his twin brother goes missing. And so the sister-in-law brings our guy, John is his name, and says, you need to impersonate your brother and find out, like, he's left little clues. Let's figure out what's happening, where he is, and why he's missing, kind of thing. And in the process, of course, our guy is also solving crimes, because he's a police detective. So he's trying to balance all of that. It's very cute. I'm enjoying it. I think Mo is enjoying it. It's definitely not your realistic, gritty kind of police things. It's just a very lovely little, I'd say, cozy mystery. So if you like those, and I believe it might be a BritBox original, so I'm not sure if you can see it anywhere else, but I don't know. That's where we happen to be watching it. I would highly recommend it if you like those kind of shows. It's very cute. Like I said, we have 2 episodes left. Each episode is just under an hour, and BritBox has no commercials for their shows, which is awesome. So you just kind of go through. So that's kind of give you an idea. But yeah, that's my kind of recommendation if you like that kind of stuff, and you may have the ability to see it. All right, so that's about it. That's all I've got. I hope you are well. I hope you are safe. Please remember that you are important and you matter. I know that this is Mental Health May, and it's a message that, obviously we want to bring out there, especially this month. But I say it every week because it's important all year round, and I really want you to remember that and to take it to heart that you are important and you matter just as you are. So please remember that. And until next time, happy stitching.